Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. The cows also chanting Om. But we have the good luck that they are not working in the construction site just beside. So that's a bit more peaceful. A friend has asked me about a life situation. They are musician, retired, with a pension that is just enough. So a little extra would be good. And they are being asked periodically to come and play in churches, the organ. I don't know whether in other places. And then there is always the dilemma, shall I go, shall I not go? If I go, shall I ask for money? Shall I not ask for money? There are the Buddhist scriptures that say we should get rid of all desires. Now, is this a desire? Strengthening the ego, doing that? It's not necessary to make this kind of life situation complicated. Now, in the world, as it is functioning right now, especially in the European, American society, everything costs. So there is absolutely nothing wrong if that ability is there, if one feels like, yes, go for it. And you can also ask a price, a reasonable price as it is custom, without having any second thoughts about it. There's nothing wrong in that. What matters is the motivation. And if the feeling is there, yes, I like to do so, one can do it as a worship. All right, let me go and play the organ, especially in a place where they are worshipping, as an expression of that inner beauty, the inner divinity. If the talent is there, why not manifest it? Of course, with artists, it's always a tricky situation. Many artists are totally on the trip of wanting people's appreciation, being dependent on the feedback from the people. And their art is becoming an ego trip. But we don't have to do so. A musician can play just for the joy of it. And if other people appreciate it, so much the better. And especially when those people come and ask, because they need somebody, they will be very happy having a skilled organ player there We can go about all these things playfully without making it into a problem. What counts is that we stay connected. And then about the question of getting paid for a service like this, as long as there is not that greedy mind developing and always calculating and wanting more, then there's absolutely no problem. Getting also something in return. As what the desires concerns, right? Other people also have told me, but in Buddhism it says that we have to get rid of all the desires in order to have a chance. There are different kinds of desires. There are the desires that are nagging and giving us the illusion, I have to have this, I have to have that, I have to do this, I have to. And in that way, kindling that sense of being incomplete. And I need that in order to be complete. I need that in order to be happy. And these desires are disturbing and keeping us locked into that me personality. But there are desires that are not so important. They spring up all the time. And we can see them, and we can fulfill them, or we cannot fulfill them. If we are not making the fulfillment of those desires into obsession, that we think we have to have that in order to be happy or complete, but just that natural feeling comes, I would like to do something, then let's do it. Knowing that I am the source of my happiness. I am complete in myself. Like that we can go about life, master the life situations, harmoniously, joyously, playfully. And then there was the idea also, but if I ask for money, maybe they don't like me so much. If I come and offer that for free, they like me more. But that is also a desire from the me personality. Thinking that, oh, if I'm behaving in a certain way, then maybe they are not so happy and I'm getting less positive feedback. About that aspect, we can also get relaxed. So about the money situation, about this particular situation, just do that which you feel in your heart is right. Don't be greedy, but you have the right, especially in your situations where money is a bit tight. If somebody comes and asks you whether you could play, you have the right to ask for a reasonable price. And if some people have some funny ideas about that, then that's their own problem. You need not make your happiness dependent on what they think about you. As long as you feel it's in harmony, it's right, then it's right. And what I say now about this situation, this is true for all the life situations. When there comes a dilemma in the mind, should I do this? Should I do that? Is it right? Is it spiritual? Does it hold me back? Does it somehow prevent me from progressing spiritually? Then you remember, it's not the external situation, whether you do this or you do that, that holds us back. It's exactly those concerns of the me personality who wants to progress. somewhere and then is afraid of doing something wrong, and maybe because of that, not getting anywhere spiritual. You are here now, that essential divinity. So what matters is to bring the attention back home to that. And then live your life, sometimes planned, sometimes spontaneously. Go about it joyously, harmoniously. And if this kind of doubts come, have a good look at it and connect with yourself. And then deep down you feel what you feel is right, and then act accordingly. Then you are at peace with yourself. And it's not going to prevent you from any spiritual progress. If you act in a sense of harmony and rightfulness, then it's an expression of your inner divinity, and there is nothing wrong. Somehow or other, we have to spend the time, so we can as well do what we feel is right, what we like to do, if we can. Many times we may have to do things that we don't like so much, and we still feel right. It's right to do. But there is absolutely nothing wrong with doing things that we feel, oh, I like it very much to do so. And you, with your musical capacities that you have been having your whole life long and developing your whole life long, why not take the opportunities to express your inner beauty by playing music? All right, I leave the subject and I come to a question Marie wrote me this morning. How to bring the practice really in our daily life? I've been talking a lot about practicing the last time, how it's helpful to have every day some time where we are doing nothing else. And then always I say, but of course, then bring that same attitude in your usual daily life when you are interacting with people, maybe when you go to a job, maybe in a family. The essential ingredient, what is necessary, is that we remember to connect, to be in the present, to be consciously alive now. As long as we don't remember that, nothing can be done. But when the memory comes, then everyone can develop their own ways to help to bring the attention back home. Depends how you are practicing generally. You can ask the question, who is doing this? Who is thinking this? Who is feeling? I. Who am I? I am. And bring the attention in this way back to the source. Those who like to do mantra japa may use their mantra. When they were all busy in the mind with other things, then just come back to the mantra, and through the mantra feel the sense of presence, the divine presence. And in this way, bring the attention back home. Or you can do what has become my favorite way. Simply, consciously breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, relax. And you're right home. It helps when we start the day, that we start the day with a conscious intent, with a conscious sankalpa. I want to remember. Marie said there is often that frustration because she feels then so much of the day is just going on automatically, like a machine is is put on the way, and then it just happens out of old habits, of the old, pushed, directed by the old conditioning. But if you remember to connect, then you can also see the push, the pull of the conditioning, and from moment to moment you can decide whether you will do things in that way or whether you don't. Don't get disheartened when you are not always successful. Don't get disappointed when you become aware there has been quite a period where I didn't have a really conscious moment. So what? It's already past. Right now, you remember, you connect, and here you are again. We just have to go about it. It's not difficult, but we have to have that consequence. Whenever the memory comes, just sincerely connect and relax in one way or another. And if we do that consequently, if we do that sincerely, then the memory comes more often, and gradually it becomes easier, and it becomes the natural way of functioning more and more. But you can also have patience with yourself. Old habits have their own force and pull us again and again into their track. And if we see it, even if a moment, that feeling of frustration comes, okay, never mind. That feeling of frustration is there. It may help you to detach from the present situation. Don't feed the frustration and don't start to blame yourself and say, oh, after all this time, still this is happening. Never mind. It's happened. It's gone. Now you're connected. We just have to get the taste of it, because the more we are living like this, the more we are doing this, the more we become aware, life becomes much fuller. Because every time you connect consciously, there is an intensity that is not there usually, except maybe in extreme situations, in peaks of joy, in peaks of fear. There is that intensity. And we can have that same intensity by simply being consciously here now. And the more we are relaxing it, the more we become aware it's full of joyousness. And the more we get the taste of that joyousness of doing so, the more we are motivated to remember again, not to forget about it. As long as it's not automatically, naturally coming back, we have to make that little effort of intending to remember, and when the memory comes, consequently at that moment, just connect. It's not a big job in this moment, but it's a job that we have to go on and on and on, again and again. And if we don't resist, if we don't think, oh, it's a terrible thing to do, but playfully go about it, it becomes easier and easier and more joyous all by itself. All right, then I leave that also. And I'm asking you, my friends, is there anybody who would like to come in? You are welcome. I want to clear up about something about being in the moment. And the idea comes because recently I made a blunder. I mean, out of my not attentiveness, my purse got stolen. I was busy on a fruit stall paying with the phone. It didn't work quite properly, and I left my backpack open. I had even taken out the purse and put it in, and anybody could see it, and I left it open, and I didn't give any attention, and then so obviously I gave somebody the opportunity to pick it. The temptation was too big to just let that opportunity go. And then I talked with Lutz about it, and he said, oh, this happens also to you, that you are inattentive like this. Yes, of course, the kind of blunders, they also happen to me. What counts is that we are connected, that we are aware of being aware of being alive. And it's an approach to come closer to that by giving very, very much attention to all the external situation. It keeps you in the present. Zen Buddhists, at least some Zen Buddhists, are very much into that, to be very alert, exactly what's going on. I haven't been so much into that. And I have to say, I can be very much in the present and be absorbed in being aware of being alive. And then sometimes I have to push myself. Okay, give also attention to this level. I mean, being connected is not a safeguard that after that in this material world, nothing wrong can happen. Sometimes Sudha scolds me and says, hey, give a bit more attention also to this level. Being connected in the now does not necessarily mean that we have always total control of what is happening on the material apparent level in this world all the time. So I'm prone to making blunders like everybody else. But it is an approach to learn to become more connected by giving a lot of attention of all the details that are happening. For me, as my journey had progressed, it became more and more a matter of being energetically aware. And through being energetically aware, connecting. And then sometimes I have to tell myself, hey, give also your attention on this level. It's useful. Okay, I'm asking again. Is there anyone who would like to say something? You're welcome to come in. It's always good to remember why we are here. This is a continuous opportunity to become more self-aware, to learn, to grow. I mean, growing is a way of talking about. I had talked with another teacher years ago and mentioned growing, but then the teacher said, hey, growing, what growing? Do you want to grow your body? No. It's just a way of expressing that essentially we are the same, but something is unfolding. And the more we are self-conscious, not ego-conscious, but conscious of the life, the more intensely that unfolding process is happening. And projecting in this world, in this magic show, is a continuous opportunity to face challenges. Facing those challenges, you have continuously the opportunity to either forget the choice, actually, to either forget and get completely absorbed in the story, or to be aware of that which makes the experience possible. It's good to remind oneself about that. It gives the proportions, what is important, what is not important. Then within the relativity, there are things that are more important and things that are less important. In our own life, we can be the judge of that. What is more important in our story, in the external manifested appearance. But the main importance is that we learn to connect with that own divine essence. The more we are doing that, the more we are fulfilling the purpose of being here. It's good to remember. The more we remember, the more we become aware. Externally, usually, those things that give us a headache and we don't know, should I do this, should I do that? They are maybe not as important as they are, as we think they are. Sorry for that. I thought I had turned off my phone, that cannot disturb, but there it comes. So, again, not external perfection.
Werner, are you recording?
Yes, I am.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, I think so. I put it on, and in my corner it shows the sign that it's recording. Yeah. So I think it should.
Sorry.
if we have that awareness, what really matters, then the relative world certainly is not more so important. Then we may look also at what's going on in the world and see that on its own level there are all these tragedies. It's tremendous what's going on, but it won't be able to pull us into negativity, into depression, into feeling helpless, hopeless. Okay, that story is as it is right now. I still can connect with my divine essence. Nothing can touch that. That is what matters. And then, within the relative play, I play my role. Whatever that is. Everyone has their own unique, beautiful story. Is there still nobody who wants to talk? You want me to go on ranting about something or other?
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly.
Yeah, I want to share something.
Yes, you are welcome. Oops.
I had, do you hear me?
Now I hear you again. For a moment you were, the picture was blocked and I didn't hear, but let's try.
Okay. I just want to share today, I had some difficulties with meditation. Not today, but yesterday it was something like this. But today I felt a strong tension in my body, especially in my low part of the body, and it was very painful to sit, to go on, to sit an hour. And I remember what you say, just to relax what you can relax. And I sat and felt that I couldn't relax. I didn't know how to relax. But I thought how to do this because I can't do it do something physically for it. I just can't release this tension. Yes, I tried to think mantra, but then I stopped doing it. And then I thought what to do, how to relax. I pretended that I was getting a massage. And I just began to feel that I get massage in my head, in my hands, in my legs, and it helped me a little to relax. Then I stopped it too, and I just began to pray.
Yeah.
For asking to relax, but it was difficult today, very, very difficult, and I was very happy when now was over and it's finished.
Yeah.
Yes, I had some doubts again. What maybe I do something not maybe it's not my practice. Like always, I think about it. Maybe I should do something else. But this practice is. I have a habit to do it. I see that before I didn't like to do it. I thought, oh, it's something heavy, something not very good, and I couldn't sit now. Now I do it, but sometimes I really feel these problems. Yeah.
Right. So you can also not expect that now, day after day, slowly your meditation is getting better and better and better and better.
Yes, it becomes better.
Sometimes it comes easily. You just sit and are at ease, at peace. And sometimes there may be so many influences that bring about that it's difficult, like what you're describing, that you feel full of tensions. And then what to do with such a situation? You can, for some time, sit it out and think maybe it's relaxing, or do all the little tricks that you tried. And then if it's not possible, you can also accept, okay, today I'm sitting with tensions, but if it's getting too painful, you don't have to force yourself at all costs to sit the time out that you wanted to sit. When it's too difficult, it's also okay to to get up, walk a bit around, and then start again. But if then the doubts come, like you describe, okay, then you think, well, maybe my practice is not the right practice. That doesn't mean when you have found your practice, your approach that is the most natural for you, that from then on, you won't face these kind of difficulties. They come in spite of that. So when doubts come, don't take them serious. It's just the usual reaction of a mind, something is difficult, maybe I should do something else. But if we give way to that, then you will always do that. Whenever there is a difficulty, whatever you are doing, then it will come back again, and we jump to something else and jump to something else. So just don't believe when those doubts come. Don't take them serious.
Okay. I try, Werner. Yeah.
Right, and you have also the right. I mean, if it's reasonably possible, you can tell yourself, okay, I'm sticking it out, even if it's not nice, even if it's not relaxed. But if you feel it's just getting too much, it's getting too painful, you can also accept, okay, now for today, I'm making a little break in between. Get up, walk, or maybe lie down or whatever, and then try again. Nothing wrong in that.
Yes, I see in my mind this is something like I have to wait till the end. Yeah, I see it's strong thing. Yeah. But
Everyone has to figure out for themselves where is the line. A little bit of discipline, there is nothing wrong. Not that every time it's a little difficult, we just jump up and give it up. You can stick it out for some time and try whether you can relax. But if it's getting too painful, then there's also no point in torturously push you to stick it out at all costs.
Okay, yeah. Yes, and I listened today the last movie that Marie put on YouTube about thoughts. Yes, don't listen to, I don't remember the name, don't listen to your thoughts, something like this. Yeah. It was very actual for me, because today I was thinking, and all these thoughts in my mind were, yes, a lot of thoughts. And after this meditation, I listened to this video, yes, and got some answers to this, to my situation. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Werner.
And the point also, which I try to make, we have to see that actually we are interested in these thoughts. Even if it's silly stuff that we can just turn around, and basically we know already the subject is not important, or the subject, I know already the answers that are necessary, and still it turns round and round, and somehow there is something also likes to do so. And it's good to see that there is that pull, as if it gives more life, but of course it's rather limiting life, and so we can learn not to be interested in all that stuff anymore that we're thinking all the time.
Yeah, I'll learn it. Yes, they look very interesting and important.
Yes, so they do. Huh?
I see, yes, I understand. Yes, I go on trying and learning to detach from them. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
very good.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Werner.
Ah, hello, Maria.
Hello. Yeah, my comment is connected to what Lily was just sharing. Yeah, and the message I sent you that when I was having this intensive retreat in August, in this clip, you really described the key things that I went through. And one of them which was quite disturbing emotionally, to feel that inside there was an interest in those kind of nasty thoughts.
Yes.
That there was no determination, or, you know, it was like, okay, let them be, you know, why not? There was one aspect of myself that, and that was very painful, because then there was the conflict with my self-image.
Yes.
I don't see myself as such type of person. So it was...
After all, we are good and not bad, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, prayer was my way out.
Yeah.
Saying, please help me to let go that aspect that seems to be holding and protecting those kind of negative thoughts or spirits, or we call them differently in different traditions. It was very intense, that thing, and I'm extremely grateful for when I sent you the message in the middle of all that, and I just needed to know, is there a way out of this, you know? Yeah. Because the first few days, I would say even weeks, was so much about that. And if I thought I had horrible thoughts, they got even more horrible. Yeah. And more horrible, and more. Yeah. And it was like, yeah, when I contacted you and the way you responded, it was like, well, you know, yes, at some point something will happen. And it was a relief. And as always, it happens in these situations, it looks as though there is no end to it. And there is no end to the suffering, but then it happens. In a very mysterious way, it resolves. And now when I look back, it looks surreal. It looks as though it's a past life. Yeah. And yeah, one of the things I wanted to see whether you have any comment on, it was that I did experience a cycle that I experience here at home as well sometimes, and when I go to the meditation groups, which is, I have a lot of desires. You mentioned that at the beginning of this video as well. All sorts of desires about this, about that. I want this, I don't want that. I pray for that, I focus on that. And then it comes a point where all that disappears. And I feel I don't want anything else but to connect. In my case, it's with my teacher. That's how I feel is my gate to the light. And this is what I just long for that, and I pray for focus so that I can focus and I can meditate intensely, because I feel that that's the only thing that matters. And then it's a big relief. And it looks as though all those intense desires I had before really are for nothing. So I don't know whether you have any I don't have a question. It's just that I notice that I go through that cycle.
Yeah.
And somehow it helps. It's as if I need to revisit the priorities, and the priority at the end is always connection.
Right, and when that moment comes that you described, that somehow it's like they are falling off, and you effortlessly, they are not there, and then it feels, okay, it's gone. And then don't be disappointed when another day the same stuff comes back again. But every time you see it, and every time you can detach from it, that store is getting smaller. They are getting weaker, even if it's not so easily perceptible. But we have, without being aware, made that aspect stronger and stronger and stronger by falling into the trap unconsciously again and again and again. And so it has its own momentum, its own power. And every time you see it, and then you, even to attempt not to be sucked into it, but to detach from it, is making that weaker. How much we are each time successful or not, we may not be in control of that, but the very attempt of simply seeing the whole thing and consciously detaching is weakening that mechanism, and the same mechanisms that may for longer periods give us headache again and again and again, then suddenly you can see them still as a memory, as a vague tendency, but it's has become powerless and not more capable of creating agitation.
What I experience is also meditations where the turnaround was dramatic. You know, started, we normally, in our practice, we do about half an hour of sitting meditation, and then is the dynamic meditation, what we call shaking.
Yeah.
And in that half an hour, even through when I was chanting a couple of mantras, the negativity was merciless, you know, about myself, anybody around, the environment, everything. And then I would go with this kind of feeling really very squashed because I believed them. At that point in time, I still had the belief that that's real.
Yeah.
And then make an effort to connect, and by the end of 45 minutes later, a complete different state. And it's quite remarkable. What happened is basically 1 hour, 15 minutes, 1 hour and a half. And it's, and the other thing I noticed is, which is extremely encouraging, I have to say, that's why I always stick to it. No matter what happened, I always carry on, because the experience is that it's possible to turn it around. And the other thing I experience is that the negativity seems to be very attached to the thinking process, much more than to the feeling.
Yes.
It's like the joy, the peace, all that comes in the form of feeling. It doesn't come in the form of thoughts. Do you have something to say about that? Because that for me was a new realization.
Yeah. Depends what you now mean with feeling. You mean emotion, or you mean rather a physical sensation, or a combination of the two?
Well, probably a combination of both.
Yeah. And sure, it's more on the psychological level that the problem comes. We may have stored some negativity in the body also, that sometimes comes up as a bad feeling, but it's more a subtle storage, a subtle psychological storage, which of course often comes with a line of thoughts, but then emotions also come in. The emotions and the thoughts, they are connecting, and the feeling, the physical feeling may also follow, but it's more a psychological thing. That's for sure. And if we don't suppress it, it can be just frightening, can be horrifying to see what kind of thoughts you are capable of thinking,
Yeah.
what kind of thoughts that come
Yeah.
up. And one can, then you said that I'm in conflict with my self-image.
Yes.
Right, but I mean, we have been developing this conscious experience in a place where there is a lot of negativity, and naturally we have picked up, but it's not an inherent aspect of what you are. What you are is pure, is divine, unstained by any of this. Recently, somebody told me in a conversation, but I see now when I look what's going on in the world, I see that people are basically just bad. No, they are not. People are misguided, people are fooled, people are hypnotized and completely absorbed in their dreams, in their stories, but essentially there is that pure light that cannot be spoiled, that cannot be stained. And everybody is that. In some people, it may be buried quite deep under a lot of stuff, but still it's there. It's that which makes the experience, the whole story, the whole situation possible. So we are not bad. Actually, we are prior to good or bad in a pristine purity that cannot be spoiled by the human concepts of all that. But then in the relativity, how the psyche has been formed and what we have picked up unconsciously, there is a lot of negative stuff, a lot of destructive stuff. And either we have, as it has come in, worked it out, or like most of us, we have stored a lot and suppressed, and sometime or other we don't get around. We have to face that, to let it come out. Maybe not every damn little detail, maybe whole fields may come up, and we have to learn to confront it and see, okay, it's there, it's part of this personality, and I can let it come up and I can let it go. I don't have to feel bad about it. We don't have to be afraid of that negativity that is there. If you are afraid, then again, we actually feed it. We actually have the tendency again to suppress because I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And opening up that it can come up, can be frightening at moments because there may come much more than what we expected. Right. But just never doubt, it's not that you are basically bad no matter what kind of thoughts or emotions that can come up. It's something that we have picked up, and if it comes up, so much the better. There we can see it, there we can release it, and after struggling for some time, then the point comes that you described, and it changes dramatically. And a certain thing may have gone, or it may not have gone, but at least at that moment, the strength of it has been transformed. So the tendency to get disturbed by that negative aspect is getting less, definitely. The similar things may come again, and sometimes again and again and again. But then if we patiently, courageously face it and let it come up and observe it and let it go, then gradually it's getting less and less and less. And then there is also grace. If we really work like this, then we are also supported. And sometimes whole weights may simply be lifted off at one point, and then same thing that looked very difficult before becomes simple and easy.
Yes. And what about what I was mentioning before? What is your experience with this, what we call the positive states, where, because when there is peace, when there is joy, it's very rare that for me that it comes with words, you know, that I consciously sometimes work with the affirmation. When I feel like that, I say, I'm happy, I'm at peace. But it's a conscious effort by itself. If I let it, it's not, doesn't have a thoughts attached to it.
Right. It doesn't have thoughts attached to this affirmation, for example, that you mentioned. They can help to pave the way, but you can't really do it. You can just make yourself available, and then sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
And then it's better that you don't try to put words on it, because when I put words on it, already I want to somehow put it in a box again, that I understand. Then I start to analyze it and dissect it, and then try to make again an improvement in my self-image. Now I have experienced that and that much, and add this to the nice points to my self-image. So it's much better not to try to analyze and try to understand and think, what can I do to bring it back again? Or better that it is not attached to thoughts.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Well, I noticed that on the other side, with the negative, very often it comes from a memory of something, an interaction with somebody. I remember when that person said that, then the anger comes, but then there is a huge story. I mean, the story develops in all sorts of ways. So the psychological discourse goes with emotion, interacting, and so on. But it's interesting that these other positive states don't come with a story, actually.
Right. The so-called positive states, actually, it's more that at that moment, the psyche is quiet and you become more transparent, on something from your true inner beauty comes through. It's experienced then as states, because it comes, it's there for some time, it goes. So it's as an experience, a state, but it's more like because there is more quiet and more relaxation, what is there naturally, that inner beauty has a chance to show itself a bit better. Whereas the other one is a construction. The negativity that we are keeping in our psyche is a construction that we have most of the time unconsciously picked up and built up on. And these are patterns that are there. We may not be aware of them, but it's something that has been constructed and it can be undone. Whereas that joyousness of existence is not something that need to be constructed or can be undone. It's just an expression of what is.
I discovered that when you were saying that it has been constructed, so many phrases from my family, from my environment, even working environment, friends from my teens, it was like all this, some of that stuff that was happening around was still there, churning.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Especially things that we picked up as children. We often bury very deep, and they are very powerful from there, because children, they are still very spontaneous. And then if there is an inner decision made about something, this can be very powerful, but that inner decision may be very much influenced by what has been drilled in our mind from the surroundings, and unwholesome, and still it's there. And then it can, for a long time, create disturbance and be very active, even if you are not aware that all that stuff is still very much alive and active.
Yes, I feel that this is the gift. What I've understood, the gift is that is the awareness. It's just I think I still didn't quite understand until this time how important awareness is.
Right.
Bring it to the surface, to accept that it needs to come to the surface.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have to go dig and dig and dig and try to figure out what kind of other dirty stuff is buried down there. but we don't have to try to create barriers for not really out of unwillingness to accept, okay, it's there and it has to come up. Let it come up. Have the courage to deal with it and let it go. That's the way.
Thank you so much, Werner. It's been
You're
extremely
welcome.
helpful to know that you were on the other side if I needed to at that time. It was extremely helpful, as it is now.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome.
Yes, hello, Leora.
Hello, Leora.
Hi. So what you just spoke with Maria now about the constructions.
Yes.
So for me, it's when I'm not unhappy, I'm actually very happy. Like I don't feel I'm very high. I'm just like grateful and relaxed and happy enough, I would say.
Yeah.
So then also, yeah, I don't ask questions, and I'm aware, and yeah. And yesterday I had something about what I found out is when people tell me things, and I noticed that I want to be the person that people can tell me things.
Yeah.
But it depends on two things. It depends on also what they tell me, but also how they tell, whether it's a conversation or whether it's like somebody is throwing their content on you without sensitivity.
Sorry, just one question. When you say, I want to be the person that the people can tell me things, you mean that they point out to you something they don't like? For was that what you meant?
No, I mean when they tell me stories of something that has happened to them.
Oh, like that.
Yeah. Things that maybe they somehow often happens that people tell me very personal stuff that I slowly but surely realize that maybe I don't want to hear it. I mean, maybe it's too much. It's too much for me, really.
Yeah.
And sometimes also some of these people they tell it because it sits heavy on them, so they tell it like they vomit. Recently, get relief, but like without seeing that there is a person there, like an instrument with ears and.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen with friends really, but recently it has been happening something in my family. But yesterday, my ex-husband came to visit here, and we sat together, and he told me what has been happening with his family when his mother died just recently, and some very, very difficult stuff. And that was a conversation. I mean, also he's an important person in my life. He's the father of my children, and I've lived with him for 30 years. So like we are good together, and I care about him.
Yeah.
And it was difficult stuff. So two things. First is when you keep saying it's a magic show, and still, I look like very sad, and I say it's difficult stuff. And sometimes it is difficult stuff, and sometimes I guess I overreact or I make it over difficult, make it too difficult in the way I tell the story. But I feel yesterday it was difficult, and then when I came home, I was we were at my children's. I was very, very, very sad, and there was a lot of pain, which kind of pulled me down into places which I'm afraid of. And I feel that today I'm good. Now when I'm telling it, I become sad again, but I slept and I woke up in the morning and I was good, but there is a memory. And yesterday a friend called me to ask as I was, and I told her everything, and I was talking and talking and talking. It was like,
yeah.
But she had her yeah, it was a conversation. And there was a relief after that. And the wonder, sometimes it's real. It's like sometimes it's when somebody hits you, sometimes when you're physically hurt, and the pain is really painful. And I know there's a difference between pain and between suffering. Like they say, dukkha, and now when I'm telling you, it's good because I felt there wasn't so much suffering there, as I have somehow managed to go through and to relax. So I'm happy that I was able. I had to empty the pool I have outside, and it was some work to do. It's a small pool, but it was some work to empty and to, yeah, so it kept me energetically busy.
Yeah.
And I really had to do it, so I did it. But I wonder about the construction. Sometimes, of course, it sits on a story, but I mainly cared about him, really. I mean, even, for me also there's a story there, because I was part of his family, even though it's in Norway, but still we used to go there often. And as a story, it's a difficult story.
Yes.
Now there's the person there, though. And I was also a bit, I was influenced by the pain, his pain, and my pain, following my reaction to the story.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure there is a question here, but it's like when I'm telling you it now, it somehow seems clearer to me, like the process. Sometimes there is a pain and we go through, and we have to go through, and we can't prevent, like we can't prevent a disease or any physical.
And now you have a bit a doubt whether that was also connected to some constructions we have in the mind, because I was talking about it.
Yeah, because I've been thinking this week about constructions, not so much constructions, but like how we tell the story, whether our life is only segment, another segment, another segment, another event, and somehow maybe we can put a wall after each time, and whether it is somehow a construction, or construction is heavy, but I would say maybe there is a connection. Somehow it's like an ongoing life story of one person When I'm talking now of one person, but of course it's everybody. And I was wondering about it. Do I have a control over it? Like, can I make it into? Can I practice somehow that from now on, or I don't know, I can somehow make it into a, okay, this happened yesterday. There was a story. It's a segment. It's a part. It's a, then, you know.
Yeah. Well, yes, you can. And basically with all that we have always been talking about it, about. The question is whether we identify with that person, with that story. And when we identify, it looks like a continuous story, unbroken story for so many years. And that's solid and true and real. And if we start to disidentify and see the story as a story, a role that we have played, we become aware actually the continuity that we are giving in the memory is also something that we are constructing. It's really like moments of story moments. There is something that is there continuously, but in front, before an event, during the event, after the event, and it's more like chuck, 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 all these little moments that somehow blend together, like the old, not digital, the old type of movie. There is one picture after another, but if it's pulled strong enough as there in a good speed, then it looks like a continuous movement, but it's just pictures that are passing in front of the light. And so it's an analog. It's not exactly, but it's a little bit, that personal story is a little bit like that. And the more we identify, the more it looks like real, a real continuous story that I am going through. But it's more like experience after experience after experience that we are putting together on a string and make it into a continuous real story. But the more you disidentify, the more you also can bring your real creativity in the present situation. And in that way, we have a power to influence that story. It's not that it's written in stone and it has to turn out as it is predictably there. The more we are going through life asleep, totally identified, the more the story is predictable, because the tendencies are there and it will just unroll itself. But the more you are capable of stopping and touching that timelessness and your real creativity, the more a new unpredictable force can be directed into that story, and it may dramatically change the way the story would have just unrolled itself if that had not happened. So yes, we can influence that story.
Yeah, I also want to say that I have felt that even if the story is in my family, let's say my niece and my sister and that part, and we haven't been so close for years, so that part of me wanted to belong.
Yes.
So I took upon myself a role to be the person who my niece talks to.
Yeah.
And then I realized it's from the wrong, out of the wrong motivation, really, because there's nothing I can really do there except for what you've just described now about being like being connected to the pure self, and just even from here I can influence. But this thing about wanting to belong is like a bit strange, because belong to what?
Right.
To a tragic story, like she's sick and she's down this and that. I mean, it's sad. I mean, I've noticed it, and now I have to look at it with a lot of compassion to myself and let go of that, because what's the point, really?
Well, that feeling of wanting to belong comes out of the identification, me, a person, and then we feel isolated and limited, and then we look for ways to make that experience broader. But don't worry about, even if that aspect was there in the original motivation, if you feel that now this is something that is something also beautiful, creative, expensive, and for the niece maybe a great possibility that she can come and talk. So never mind about the original motivation, you can adjust the motivation now.
Yeah. I can also learn how to talk with her so that she listens, and if it's necessary. Yeah, not only talking and talking, and like yeah.
And if you are capable of listening to somebody's tragic story, and at the same time you still can connect, then it helps them to connect a bit more with their own self, and it helps them to heal. It helps them to shed some of their burden.
Okay, that's okay, but still I feel I have to choose with whom to do it.
Because you have the full right. You don't make it now in an obligation to have everybody come and tell their stories if you don't want to.
No, definitely I have to choose, because it does take some energy from me. Then it's too much. I have to. Yeah.
You do.
It's not. It's.
You do as you feel right in your heart, and then you do the right thing.
No, it's important. It was important for me to hear what you said, that it comes from the identity, self-identity, and not wanting to feel isolated, and that's important. Okay, Werner.
Okay. Wish you well. Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? If you want, we can have a little more time.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Hazel.
Hazel, have we met before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I came last week. But yeah, I'm new. So, my friend Matthias told me about you.
Oh, Matthias from Argentina.
Yeah. I'm coming to Tiruvanna, Malay, so he told me about you.
Yeah.
And then I found your satsang. So thank you. This is lovely. I appreciate it. So I had a question. So I'm new to self-inquiry, this practice in this way, and it feels really good. It's like so satisfying, and I really love it. But right now I'm living in a Gurukula, and every day we have many hours of philosophy class. And right now it's yoga philosophy.
Yeah.
And it's become so aggravating to my mind. Because I mean, we're talking about the self and the non-self and describing it, and we're just dancing all around it.
Yeah.
But I just want to feel it. I just want to experience it.
Right.
And so I'm in the situation of, I want to be a good student because this is my job right now. I'm here to be a student and this is my role in a way. And I feel like that requires like using my mind and sharpening my intellect and really like discussing this information and learning it. But at the same time, I just catch myself during the class, just going into meditation and doing self-inquiry. And that feels so good, but it feels a bit disrespectful to the teacher because he's giving so much. And if I'm not really like receiving with my mind, I just don't want any more information from my mind.
Yeah,
There's enough thought, you know, I mean, it's good information, but it's just at this point where I'm like, I don't want any more mental stuff.
Right.
So yeah, it's just become stressful. And I guess my question is, I mean, is it better to just do my job while I'm here? I mean, my job, my role was not really me. And I just feel confused about it, you know, like, is it better to just show up with my mind and do the intellectual work and be present in that way, or just being as I am? I feel confused about.
Yeah. Anyhow, it's not going on for very, very long. It's now just for some more time. So you can as well, if it's not too hard, stick it out. But don't you feel disrespectful if you do what you did? If you become meditative in the class and connect with yourself, then actually that should be the meaning of that class. That should be what you are learning there. You are learning, scriptures are not there to fill our head with more and more and more concepts. It becomes a burden at the end. We are just make it down with all that so-called knowledge, which are just ideas that we put on one on top of each other. So by all means, go for the rest of the time. You'll stay there to the classes, but you can also make use of those classes, of those pointers that you get to connect. There is no disrespect for your teacher because of that. That's also what you think after that in the mind. Or if the teacher would think that it's disrespectful, then maybe he should do some work on himself also.
Okay.
Philosophy is not just an intellectual entertainment to pass the time, but the point of it is that it should make it easier to do exactly that, to connect with yourself. And if you are inspired sometime in the class to do so, then don't think there is something wrong in it.
Thank you.
Yes. Matthias said you are coming to Tiruvannamalai.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm coming in November.
In November. Okay. Sure. We may meet then.
Yes.
But you are welcome to come and meet like this when you feel like and have time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay.
You wanted.
Thank you.
That's it. Or you wanted to say something else?
No, that's it.
Not right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Hariom.
Hariom.
So we stop for today.
Yes, we'll do that. What you just said, Gord. I think we'll stop for today. Hariom, Hariom, Hariom.